Welcome back to another edition of Walk-Ons Wednesday here in Raiderland. It's how we know it's Wednesday. It's how you know it's college night here in the Hubbaplex. So if you're a college student or want to act like one, come out to Walk-Ons every Wednesday night. All right, we're a couple of days past Texas Tech and Oklahoma. What's more disturbing, the outcome or the fact that people are still disturbed and surprised by the outcome?
Can there be a tie?
Yes.
No, I mean, it's got to be the surprise. I mean, you played two teams that basically were sub-level football teams to get 2 wins against.
Yeah.
You finally met some decent competition and had to go on a tough road game, play a late game at Arizona. We saw what happened there. And now you're basically on your, as Collier put it last week, third and fourth quarterbacks in this lineup because we know Maverick would be playing if he was healthy. And that's what you got. I mean, I don't think any of us could imagine it would have been that deer in headlights of what we saw with Jackson Tyner when he came out. But that's exactly what it was like with this offense. I mean, it looked like a guy who had not seen a fast-paced defense like Oklahoma threw at him right away.
Yeah, just obviously not an answer for Tyner. Did some Tech fans think that the guys in Vegas were just kidding about the 27.5-point spread?
Well, and Travis kind of mentioned it there. We talked about this week after week. We weren't going to know anything about this football team until Arizona.
Yeah, and what did we learn? And
it's just a complete opposite. Like with Oklahoma, you shouldn't take anything that happened at Oklahoma and take it to heart because I think they're head and shoulders.
By
I know
far.
Texas is right there.
Yeah.
No,
but,
Texas is not.
Well, they think they're right there. But that team is one of the better Oklahoma teams, and they honestly haven't played an explosive offense yet, so we don't really know about their defense, but they look like they're playing the part of the front runner in the Big 12.
Well, Tech fans needed a dose of reality. They got it. Not all. Some Tech fans. You guys are smart watching this here at Walk-Ons. But some Tech fans, I think, were willfully in denial about where this program is. And hopefully they'll get over that. There's a reason Matt Wells had to be hired. It's because you have very little Big 12 talent, very little depth, and you haven't been good with what you've got. Let's talk about Oklahoma State. The Cowboys will roll in. I think they're clearly the third best team in this league right now. I like what they're doing offensively. Does it help a little bit seeing OU and that dual threat quarterback and what OSU does well?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think when you look at OU and OSU, they're very similar because you're basically playing maybe the two most balanced teams in this conference right now. OU's different because of Jalen Hurts and the weapons that they have on the outside and then 3 deep at running back basically. With OSU, it's a little bit different with Chuba and then Spencer at quarterback, which surprisingly, when you look back at Oklahoma State these last 3 seasons, they're only throwing the ball 24 times a game right now.
Yep.
That's it. That's all they're asking Spencer to do right now because they're running the ball so well with Chuba. I mean, he's the nation's leading runner for a reason, but you're so balanced that you're averaging 24 and 25 between pass and rush per game right now. Now, a lot of that's been explosive plays on the ground. I mean, I think Chuba had 178 yards on 3 carries last week against Kansas State. So that's a big piece of why they're not having to do too much in the passing game, but you're going to have to really be able to be careful about how many you press up in that box to stop him because they can beat you downfield pretty quick.
Is this the first time Texas Tech has played a running back named either after a combination of a musical instrument or a Wang Chung song?
I believe so, yeah. We will check in the record books and go over that a little bit for you. But, yeah, I mean, and you mentioned it there. We were talking about this a few minutes ago. They do have the explosive plays from Chuba in the running game. They do have them with Tylan Wallace. But the problem, you mentioned it, they're kind of, I don't want to say hiding Spencer Sanders, and that's showing up in the red zone as well because everybody's packing the box to make sure Chuba doesn't score short yardage touchdowns. And I think if you can do what everybody else has done, you can be successful there. The question is, can you catch up with them scoring wise on those explosive plays?
That's right, because surprisingly, trapping them in the red zone and if you can stop the big home run plays, as Wells likes to call them, trapping in the red zone might be the best thing because they had 2 turnovers and a turnover on downs against Texas in the red zone. Then they kicked 3 field goals against Kansas State. So something goes with their play calling. It's kind of like the Cowboys last year, and maybe just hurting yourself with what you're calling in that red zone. But that might be the only chance Tech has, if anything, in
I think that's just somewhat inexperienced quarterback.
I agree.
And people getting open for him or him finding his second, third read. But at the same time, he got some experience on the road at Texas, and I would think that environment probably going to be a lot tougher than an 11 a.m. kick.
I don't know. Try playing at 11 a.m. in Lubbock. It's not easy. Just ask the Red Raiders. I think you see a lot of young quarterbacks like Sanders that are 20-20 guys. They're really good 20-20, and then you get in the compressed red zone, and everything speeds up a little bit. You don't have the spacing with your receivers, and now that pass that maybe you could complete earlier, you don't have that window in the red zone, and it takes a while for those young guys to realize it. Every year, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, they lose a little bit of talent. We think this is the year they're really going to regress and they're going to fall back. Do we give Gundy enough credit for the sustainability that he's had over a decade plus now there?
No, and I think a lot of that is exactly what we're talking about. When he had Mason Rudolph, he knew how to shape the offense around Mason Rudolph. I always said, as much as I loved to hate Texas back in the early 2000s, Mack Brown was one of the best at recruiting certain guys and molding the offense around those guys. You didn't want Vince Young to run the same offense as Colt McCoy, but Colt McCoy wasn't going to run the same offense as Vince Young. And I think that's what you have here. And surprisingly, I think Matt Wells could take a page out of that with having Jet Duffy at quarterback now.
That was what I was going to extend.
But I think he kind of hinted at that Monday in the press conference and saying, we have to give him a better chance to be successful. And I think that goes with the play calling, some RPO around him, because we saw 0 on Saturday against Oklahoma. And now maybe with a week of him practicing at that number 1 spot, you have that chance to kind of do what Gundy's been so successful at for a decade.
I was going to say that rolls in. What do you think is that package that Jet Duffy needs to have?
Well, I think it has to. You don't want to be too run heavy though, because let's remember, if Jet Duffy somehow injures a shoulder or anything, you got Jackson Tyner, and honestly, I don't even know if it's Jackson Tyner.
Maybe Xavier Martin.
Well, I asked Coach Wells at the press conference on Monday if Xavier Martin was going to stay at quarterback, and he's working exclusively with quarterbacks right now. He said yes for the time being. So that clearly is going to be the case if and when Alan Bowman comes back.
Line opened up at 7, got hammered by the Sharps. It's a 10. It's a steady 10. Could go to a hook later on today out there in Vegas. Can Texas Tech have a decent chance of keeping this within a touchdown if they don't have turnovers? What's the recipe? How do you keep this thing close if you're Tech?
I think it just all depends on how successful they are, or if they do change the offense to suit Jet Duffy a little bit more. But man, that's asking a lot. I mean, I think for a reason the number jumped so high.
Yeah,
like
they saw it, and that's a big number. What do you think? What's the recipe?
Yeah, I don't know if there is a correct recipe this week. I think you have to try to limit your turnovers with Jet, not let him get too pass happy and throw into that triple coverage, which he tends to do once he starts having success on the field. I think there's a little bit of comfort this time compared to the last few times we've had Jet for close to 60 minutes. He's got 60 minutes. I think the leash is not there. He's only going to come off the field if he's hurt or something's not right. Yeah. So I think maybe you give him a little bit more confidence in that fact, but you can't be giving up home run plays. Your secondary cannot let Wallace get past them down the sidelines, because the second that happens, that play action will keep opening that up, and then you're dead in the water for those big plays.
Absolutely. All right, Wednesday nights at Walk-Ons here in Raiderland. You know what that means? It's college night, so we invite you to come on out and have a great time every Wednesday night here at Walk-Ons. When are we having our shrimp eating contest?
I got to get with Amanda on that.
Burger eating contest
I'm
here.
ready for it. I think we need to do that soon.
Any menu item, basically, I'm down for the contest.
Collier said shrimp and grits. That
shrimp and grits.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
You're never going to go wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right. You guys,
not that you're going to go wrong with anything else.
We got to take bets on it anyways before.
Get ourselves an episode of Man Be Food or something doing this here at Walk-Ons. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for walking, and thanks to Walk-Ons for being a great host here in the Hubaplex.